Once upon a time, in a small town, there lived a child named Timmy. Timmy was a gentle child loved and respected by everyone. However, one day, he discovered an old and abandoned house on the outskirts of town. The doors of the house creaked, the windows were dirty, and the yard was overgrown with weeds. But curious, Timmy decided to enter this old house. As he opened the door, the inside was dark and silent. Timmy's heart began to race. As he wandered through the house, he started to hear strange noises, footsteps, whispers, and the creaking of doors, yet there was no one around. Trembling, Timmy entered a room and found an old mirror. When he looked into the mirror, his face reflected back expressionless and pale. But a shadow lurked behind him. The shadowy figure approached Timmy's reflection. Timmy stood frozen. As the figure came closer, a cold wind blew, and the room's lights began to flicker. Timmy held his breath, but suddenly, the shadowy figure disappeared. In fear, Timmy started to run. But it seemed like the house was against him. Doors were closing, hallways were changing. Finally, he was trapped inside a room. In the corner of the room, he saw the shadowy figure sitting on an old chair. The figure lifted its head, but there was no face, just a dark void. In terror, Timmy woke up. The story was just a nightmare. However, from that day on, he stayed away from that old house and avoided mysterious places outside the town. Yet, sometimes, when he closed his eyes, he still remembered the shadowy figure sitting in that dark room. In a distant village, there lived a young girl named Lily. Near their village, she discovered an old and abandoned mansion. According to local tales, strange events had occurred in this mansion years ago, but Lily, possessed by a curious spirit, decided to enter the mansion. The mansion's doors creaked, its walls were covered in dampness, and inside was cold. Lily felt as if eyes were watching her with every step. As she climbed the worn-out stairs, the echoes of footsteps resonated, yet there was no one around. Upon reaching the top floor, she came across a room filled with old baby cribs and worn-out toys. Approaching one crib, Lily noticed an old doll inside. Suddenly, an old mirror beside the crib started to tremble on its own. Looking into the mirror, Lily saw the same room in a different time, filled with vibrant colors. Next to her reflection, she observed an old family that had once lived in the mansion. However, the faces of the family were expressionless and pale. Suddenly, a cold wind swept through the room, and the baby crib began to sway. At that moment, the room around Lily, along with the other time, plunged into darkness. The dolls and toys seemed to come to life, their eyes glowing in the dark. Terrified, Lily tried to leave the room, but the door slammed shut. The dolls and toys advanced towards her, their movements synchronized and eerie. Lily felt a chilling presence in the air. In a panic, she woke up, finding herself outside the mansion. The sun was rising, and the mansion stood in front of her, old and silent. Lily, shaken by the vivid nightmare, decided never to venture near the mansion again. Yet, whenever she closed her eyes, she couldn't shake the image of the dolls and toys coming to life in that dark room. In the small town of Ravenswood, there was a legend about an old cemetery that no one dared to enter after dark. Alex, a curious teenager known for challenging norms, scoffed at the tales. One moonless night, armed with a flashlight, he decided to explore the graveyard. The moment Alex stepped through the rusted gates, an eerie fog enveloped the graveyard. The air turned icy, and the usual sounds of crickets and owls fell silent, ignoring the ominous signs. Alex ventured deeper. As he walked among the weathered tombstones, he noticed one grave that stood out, an ancient mausoleum with a partially open door. Against his better judgment, Alex approached and peered inside. The mausoleum was dark, save for the flickering light of his flashlight. As the beam danced around the room, he caught a glimpse of shadowy figures standing motionless. Unease crawled up his spine, but curiosity kept him rooted. Suddenly, the figures began to move, their eyes reflecting the flashlight's glow. Whispers filled the air, and the temperature dropped even further. Alex felt an otherworldly presence surrounding him. Panicking, he tried to leave, but the mausoleum door slammed shut. In the darkness, he heard footsteps approaching. The figures closed in, their forms becoming more defined. Each one resembled a person from Ravenswood's history, long gone but seemingly brought back to life. The ghostly figures spoke in unison, recounting their tragic tales of how they met their untimely ends. Alex, paralyzed with fear, listened as they described the injustices that led to their restless souls haunting the graveyard. Just as quickly as it began, the room fell silent. The figures vanished, and the mausoleum door creaked open. Alex stumbled out, gasping for breath. The fog lifted, and the graveyard returned to its usual quietude. From that night on, Alex never doubted the town's legends. The graveyard held the tormented spirits of the past, and those who dared to disturb their eternal rest would be confronted with the chilling stories of the afterlife. In the quaint village of Willowbrook, an old mansion stood at the edge of the woods, abandoned for decades. Locals whispered of a cursed artifact hidden within its walls, said to bring misfortune to anyone who dared to find it. Chloe, a thrill-seeker with a penchant for the supernatural, decided to uncover the truth. One stormy night, armed with a flashlight and a determination that bordered on recklessness, Chloe entered the mansion. The creaking floorboards and howling wind outside added to the eerie atmosphere as she explored the dimly lit rooms. As Chloe delved deeper, she discovered a hidden passage leading to a dusty library. Amongst the decaying books, she found an ancient tome that spoke of a cursed mirror. Legend had it that whoever gazed into the mirror would see their deepest fears come to life. Ignoring the ominous warnings, Chloe continued her search for the mirror. Finally, in a forgotten chamber draped in cobwebs, she uncovered an ornate mirror covered in a tattered cloth. With trepidation, she unveiled the mirror, revealing its hauntingly beautiful frame. As Chloe gazed into the mirror, the room around her transformed. Shadows took form, and ghostly whispers filled the air. She saw fleeting images of her worst fears abandoned by loved ones, trapped in an endless abyss, and the suffocating embrace of darkness. The mirror seemed to feed on her fear, distorting reality further. Chloe tried to look away, but an unseen force held her gaze. The room echoed with sinister laughter as the visions intensified. Panic set in, and Chloe felt an icy grip on her soul. In a desperate attempt to break free, Chloe smashed the mirror with a nearby chair. As the glass shattered, the room fell silent. The malevolent presence lifted, and the mansion returned to its desolate state. Shaken and drained, Chloe stumbled out of the mansion, vowing never to speak of what she had witnessed. The cursed mirror remained shattered, its dark secrets buried within the ruins of the old mansion. Willowbrook's eerie tale persisted, a warning to those who dared to meddle with forces beyond their understanding. The figure turned, their face partially obscured by the dim light. It was a man, his eyes weary but determined. "Please, detective, you have to understand," he implored. "I had no choice. My daughter, she's sick, and I couldn't afford the medicine." Maya studied him, compassion in her gaze. She knew that desperation could lead people to make drastic decisions. She assured him that they would find a legal way to get his daughter the help she needed.